So for anyone that doesn't know about the news already surrounding Owen Jones, he was supposedly or apparently attacked over this last weekend by 4 unknown individuals during a night out with his friends celebrating his birthday. Now, for anyone that doesn't know who Owen Jones is, he's a writer for The Guardian. He's also an author as well. I've actually read one of his books. I believe it was called The Establishment. Overall, he writes for The Guardian. He's your typical left-wing socialist. He's your typical leftist activist, pro-Remainer. You know what they're like. So, going back to his initial attack, this is apparently what happened to him according to his own tweets that he put up the day after his attack. This is a bit dramatic, so firstly, I'm fine. But last night, when I was celebrating my birthday, I was attacked along with my friends in a blatant premeditated assault. 6 of us left the pub at 3 AM when we were saying our goodbyes 30 metres away. Then a group of 3 to 4 men left the pub, made a beeline for me, kicked me in the back, threw me to the ground, slamming my head, and kicked me in the skull. My friends were also punched, trying to defend me. Now, in his third tweet about the attack, this one's rather contradictory, but we will get into this one after I've read it. The group then scarpered. I don't know if they said anything in the melee. I'm fine other than a big bump in my head and a cut back. Given the far-right attacks I've had in the streets and generally escalating far-right threats I've had, I'm in no doubt as to what this is. Now, the reason I find this initial tweet contradictory is the fact that in the first sentence he says, I don't know if they said anything in the melee when they attacked him, but then in the next sentence he's instantly assuming that they were just far-right extremists that attacked him. Now, if you don't know who attacked you, how do you know that they were far-right extremists? Just because you may have had a history of some of them threatening you, 1 or 2 of them threatening you, doesn't mean that they were instantly far-right extremists. And he's even doubled down with this claim that it was a far-right attack when he says, attackers targeted me for my politics, an article that was actually put up yesterday. The Guardian columnist Owen Jones has said he believes he was targeted in an unprovoked late-night attack over the weekend because of his anti-fascist politics and warned that divisive rhetoric is emboldening some on the far right to become violent. Jones then went on to say, I'm just a symptom of a wider phenomenon. An emboldened, increasingly violent far right. He said he believed there had been a dramatic escalation in the level of threat faced by him and others in the last 8 or 9 months. He said far-right protesters were being radicalised by what he described as hate preachers in politics and in some parts of the media. We all know who the hate preachers are. One of them is the most powerful man on earth, the occupant of the White House. Can't have a single sentence without him having a dig at Trump, of course. But there are also multiple politicians and people in the mainstream media who deliberately stoke tensions, who demonise minorities, and who demonise the left, he said. See, ultimately, here's the thing. He's just got attacked and the first thing he's doing is bashing his political opposition. Nope, doesn't seem fishy at all. Jones said there had been no previous interactions with the attackers. He said, I think they were waiting for us to leave the pub and make their move, he said, adding that he was relieved he had not been alone. Police apparently arrived at the scene promptly and no medical treatment was required, although Jones was left with a bump on the back of his head. He is now helping police track down his attackers. Talking about the injuries that he supposedly received, we will get into them in just a second, but right now I just want to have a look at the initial Guardian video that was actually uploaded to the YouTube channel, the official YouTube channel. The video was called Owen Jones on his attack, I get headlines, many minorities don't. Now, in a nutshell, in this video, he's just talking about the initial attack he received, and then he goes ranting on about the far right and minorities and all that stuff. Just your typical Owen Jones rant. But interestingly, the video is quite new. It was uploaded just today. It's currently at 1,000 views, but if we actually have a look at the like to dislike ratio, it's currently on 59 likes and 66 dislikes. Interestingly, if we look at the ratio to that, it's about 52 to 48. Pretty similar to another certain result that took place in 2016, but Owen Jones can't accept that. And if we actually have a look at Owen Jones himself on the video, this video was apparently recorded and placed on YouTube a couple of days after his attack, right? The thing is, if we have a look at him, okay, apparently they pulled him down, they started kicking him. According to Owen Jones's words himself, They apparently pulled him over, they were kicking him in the head, they were punching him in the face, all of that stuff, kicking him while he was down, essentially. But if we have a look at him, if we look at his face in this video, there isn't a single scratch on him. Now, all that was mentioned was that he had a cut on his back in the tweet, and he said there was a bump on his head. We can't see the bump, but we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. It could be on the back of his head, so we obviously can't see it here. But if we actually have a look at the second injury that he apparently sustained after 4 men, remember, 4 men apparently jumped him and attacked him. Let's have a look at the injury on his back, shall we, that he described as a cut on his back. So if we get this Sun article up here that also discusses his attack, here is a picture of the initial injury he received. Now, this has been circling all over the internet, it's all over Twitter, and many people have been making fun of it. It's been quite hilarious. But this is the apparent injury that he got on his back. Now, if we look at this, it just looks like a typical scratch. Years ago, when I used to play a lot of football, I was quite active, used to play a lot of sports, things like that. I used to have football training every Wednesday. We'd play on AstroTurf, and, generally it being football, you'd be doing a lot of slide tackles, a lot of diving, things like that onto the AstroTurf. And you'd get a lot of scratches. I know I certainly did, and they're not pleasant. But those injuries, those scratches that I'd have got when I went out and played football those years ago, that looks no different to this. Now, am I supposed to believe that Owen Jones was pulled over, he was kicked while he was down, they kicked him in the head, kicked him in the face, punched him in the face, and all he received was a bump on the back of his head that we still haven't seen, and that small scratch, that's all he apparently received in that ordeal? If you ask me, that's not really adding up. Now, talking about assaults on political opposition, this is not something that I condone. You shouldn't attack anyone at all. Whether you like them or not, you should never physically lay your hands on them. You can disagree with them, you can make fun of them, ridicule them. I believe in freedom of speech, so yeah, you can make fun of them, insult them all you want. But if you physically assault them, that's when you've broken the law. Now, if we go back a few months, this is something that Owen Jones apparently tweeted on the 20th of May. Now, back then, it became a bit of a trend from the likes of Antifa, the Remainers, all those typical groups, to throw milkshakes on people that supported Brexit, pro-Brexit politicians, and the likes. Now, Owen Jones tweeted, Nigel Farage once declared that he'd don khaki, pick up his rifle, and head for the front lines if his type of Brexit wasn't implemented. He said Brexit had been won without a single bullet being fired days after Joe Cox was murdered. Spare me the tears over a banana milkshake. He then tweeted, I'm sorry, I've got this completely wrong. I meant a banana and salted caramel milkshake. Now, regardless of what you think of this, a milkshake is still a projectile that can be thrown, even if it is just a sugared beverage, okay, that you can buy from McDonald's or KFC or wherever. It is still technically assault if you throw it at someone, if you throw it at someone's head or pour it over them. There were a number of individuals that were actually victims of these attacks by the left. Some individuals that were well known were, Nigel Farage himself right here, who Owen Jones is making fun of. Another individual was Sargon of Akkad, or Carl Benjamin, whatever you prefer to call him, when he was working for UKIP, when he was campaigning with UKIP. And another individual was a Brexit Party member who was actually a British Army veteran, or he was a Navy. He wasn't the Navy. I think he was Royal Air Force, RAF. I'm not particularly sure, but he was an old Army veteran. He was an old veteran who served his country. And Antifa, or the leftists, they threw milkshake on him as well. It's technically assault. And they are utterly disgusting actions that are carried out by the left. But here is the double standard that Owen Jones has here. If we get this tweet up right here, that he put up in March 2019, he put this in response to Rachel Riley. A Brexit protester threw an egg at Jeremy Corbyn outside the same mosque which was attacked in 2017 by a far-right terrorist, whose main motive was murdering Corbyn himself. The tweet you're quoting refers to Nick Griffin, an actual Nazi. You're in the absolute gutter. This is in response to Rachel Riley, who was actually calling out his double standard as well back then. Now, regardless of what you think of Nick Griffin, again, whether you support him or not, you can disagree with him, but you shouldn't physically attack him. That's the way it should be. Regardless of how much you dislike someone, you should never physically lay your hands on them, or attack them, or assault them. Now, here's the blatant double standard here that's plainly obvious now. You seem to laugh and make jokes when somebody throws a milkshake at Nigel Farage, You absolutely laugh about it, you joke about it on Twitter, but suddenly when somebody throws an egg at Jeremy Corbyn, you're suddenly all against it and you're saying that the left is under attack by the far right. You seem to think it's okay when Antifa and other left-wing groups attack your opposition, but the minute the right decides to attack you back, you suddenly don't like it and you expect everybody to feel sorry for you. I mean, come on, Owen Jones, it's only an egg. Why are you getting all so worked up about it? It's only an egg, it didn't physically hurt him, so it's not assault, remember? Why are you getting upset, mate? See, this is the double standard he has. He laughs when Nigel Farage gets milkshake thrown at him, but is suddenly crying that he's under attack when somebody throws a bloody egg at Jeremy Corbyn. That is the double standard here. Now let's get on the main subject itself of the attack itself. Now, on the off chance it's real, yes, I completely condemn it. The individual should not have done it, and I hope the police catch them. But here's the thing. Now, I'm not the only person that thinks this. A lot of people are thinking that this is staged, or it is fake, that it's a fake hate crime, as you could call it. The reason people think this is because of the fact that he received so little injuries during the initial attack that he sustained that night over the weekend. Now, with the evidence and the information that we have about this attack, I'm not going to jump to conclusions, but what I'm going to say is those people who say that your attack was staged or possibly faked, it's kind of swinging in their favour. Now, the very obvious example that most people are going to jump to is Jussie Smollett that got attacked a few months back, or was it last year? I can't remember the exact date. But it was all over the papers that he was apparently attacked by two white male Trump supporters, and they apparently shouted, "This is MAGA country," while beating him up. And then, when more information came out about the incident, it turned out to be completely staged, and the people that that supposedly attacked him were actually people that worked for him. So overall, it does just go to show that these kinds of instances have happened before, and it could very likely be this same case with Owen Jones here. I'm not saying that his attack was faked, because not enough information is out, but from what we know of it so far, the people that do say it's faked do kind of have a point with the information that we have. But anyway, people, be sure to let us know what you think about this down below. What are your opinions on this incident surrounding Owen Jones? Be sure to let us know what you think about this down below, alright? Okay, people, this has been Lord Flashheart. Be sure to rate, comment, favourite, share and subscribe, and I will see you again. Cheerio!